Welcome to the Metaphysical Journey. My name is Michael, and these are my thoughts for Sunday, June the 30th. When I began this project in April, my goal was to do it for 3 months. And with this message, I will have fulfilled that. And this will be my last one in this series. I've done really well at most of the weeks hitting it, but June has been a challenge for me. There, about 3 weeks ago, I started the process the way that I always do. I ask my guides for something to talk about, and that was always provided. And at that particular time, I was given two tarot cards. They appeared in my head, and they were the Hierophant, which pretty much permanently resides in my head, and then also the Magician. And I thought, what do I do with this? And I felt more into it and received more information. And I put together something and I spent hours on that. When I was done with the recording, I watched it and realized something's missing. I don't understand what I'm actually trying to say. And basically, this sucks. So I recorded it again and again. And the suction ratio just got worse. So I didn't post anything on that Sunday. Following week, I had something. Then it came back again, those two cards. And I gave it another shot, recorded a couple times, and still it's like something's not right. I'm not getting it. So I didn't post. So today's message. Sure enough, yesterday, those two cards just boom were in my head. And I'm like, I don't understand that I have to do this. And so I spent hours yesterday and into the night recording. And at 5 a.m., I finished something. This is not it. And when I watched it again a couple of times, I was like, this is just not right. So I wake up with a new perspective on it, and I finally see the point of why I was shown those two cards. And that's what I want to talk about today. The Hierophant to me represents the church. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that, but for me, that's what it represents of the upbringing that I was given and how that shaped my life, how that shaped how I felt about myself, how I felt about myself in relation to God. I felt separated from God. God was just somewhere who knows where, and I was just a victim of fate, hoping for the best and would pray for things, sometimes get it, sometimes not. But at all times, I pretty much felt like I'm not worthy anyway, and anything I get is just going to be a lucky shot. And I also was raised to believe that I was unworthy, that I was a sinner anyway, and just a long process, and everything was wrapped in fear. And the experience wasn't about the journey, it was about the destination. And that is what's always looming over a person's head, at least mine, in the very conservative, structured world religiously that I grew up in. Everything was about the final destination, heaven or hell. And hell was what was focused on the most. It was scary. And also, too, we know that we're spiritual beings. We have a soul and we're spirit, but even the destination was based on the idea of the physical body, that if you don't do what you're supposed to do and you go to hell, you are going to burn and burn forever and ever, and there's no redemption ever. Now, I've burned myself on the stove a few times and in fires and stuff, and it hurts. Imagine as a child growing up believing that you are going to feel that pain for all eternity. It's horrible. It's terror. That's a terror tactic. And even heard across some pulpits. Now, my father never said this. And so when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about my parents because they did not agree with with most of all of that. But I even heard preachers say, imagine for all eternity, you're there and your skin is bubbling and boiling and you're just burning and there's never a release ever. That is traumatizing, definitely. It's a life lived in constant fear and constant repentance. asking for forgiveness for things that it's like maybe you did, maybe you didn't do them. You don't know. You just are always afraid. And at the same time, being taught that it's an unconditionally loving God. However, only unconditional as long as you follow the conditions. They don't go together. And you're given that list of conditions, and that continues to evolve and get more complex as you get older. It is a never winning cycle ever. And then grew older and realized that I was gay. There's no redemption for that. You taught very clearly that there's no room for homosexuals in the kingdom of God. There's also no room for adulterers and liars and thieves and all these things, but that was never really focused on that much. It was just certain things. So at that point, I realized I've already lost. You know, I'm told that God doesn't make mistakes, yet he made me. So as I got older, still in my early teens and stuff, I came to the realization that based on what they were telling me through church, and I'm never supposed to question that because that's God's will for them to tell me this. But based on what they were telling me, God specifically made me the way that I am so that he could very cold-heartedly punish me for the rest of all eternity. So I was like, what's the point? Even God hates me. Now, moving forward from that mindset stuck with me. It still does to this day, to some degree, not the mindset I'm going to bubble forever or anything, but the mindset of I'm not worthy, I'm not loved, therefore I'm not worthy of being loved, etc., etc. And that's what the Hierophant represents. Now, the Hierophant, in reality, it's actually a beautiful tarot card. There's so much that goes with it. And the Hierophant isn't just that early. The Hierophant is always in our life. The Hierophant can represent the people in our lives that are telling us this is what you should do. Walk this way, live this way, do this, do that. They're putting this structure and framework in place, and we're expected to follow. And we're conditioned to follow because that's how we were raised. Whether in a church or not, you had someone older than you telling you this is what you will do. Not only your actions, but also you paid attention to what their thoughts and opinions were on things, and they became part of your thought and opinion process as well. One generation leads the next, and then they continue that forward and forward. It's a cycle that never ends. It's been going on since the beginning of time. We do what our parents did, they did what their parents did, and not just actions and mannerisms and stuff, but also thought processes. So the Hierophant is always present in our life. So that's what that card is. But what about the Magician? Where does that come in? On the Fool's journey, the Fool is 0. And the number 1 card is the Magician. So when you begin your life, one of the very first things you are taught is how to create and make things, whether it's with Play-Doh or whatever. You're exploring and you're learning the world around you, and you're learning how things work, how to put them together. We learn a variety of things when we're really young. We learn that when we cry and scream and throw a fit, we're going to get attention. And if we do it just right, we'll get what we want. Now, that may sound like a little temper tantrum, but it's actually manifestation. You're learning how to create something for yourself using your tools around you to pull that in. As we get older, we continue that. We learn how to manipulate people, how to work the situation, how to get our will and get people to bend and mold and do what we want them to do using emotion, or usually emotion, using some type of sympathy and stuff to get that. And many people continue that throughout their entire life. They are using whatever they need to get that sympathy and emotion and pull it back to them. Spend time with the narcissist. That's exactly what they do. Spend time with the person that's in a victim mentality. That's what they're doing too. They're using a situation or some past thing to say, oh, well, look at me. And people rally around them for support to give them what they need. And they continue to use that because they are manifesting that into their life. There are people that manifest other people's money into their life by using the same thing. So we were taught to be magicians at a very early age. Pull your resources, whatever you have, work it, make it work for you. So we're all little MacGyvers running around creating things. So the Magician is this amazing alchemist, So what did the two cards have to do with each other? Well, we know that we are not our physical body, right? We're powerful light beings. We came down to Earth and we are currently in a body. And while we're here, our body is our vehicle to get us where we want to go. And we have a reason for coming to Earth. We often don't even know what it is. And so you get to a certain age, and the age-old question, age old because there's no age limit on this question, is why am I here? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Let me go to a card reader and ask them, what does spirit want me to know? And in my mind, I'm hoping that spirit's going to say, this is what you need to do. That never happens because spirit's never going to say that, because what you choose to do is entirely up to you because you have free will. So we are these powerful beings of light inside this body. There was a show on the Food Network some years ago. I loved watching it. It was called Chopped. And I liked it because the main person was Ted Allen. And Ted Allen was one of the original members of the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy show on Bravo, I think it was, which was amazing. Well, anyway, the concept of this cooking show was that they would have these three competitors, and these were chefs that came from their specialty areas, and they were very good at what they did. And in this show, the challenge is there would be a mystery box of ingredients that would be opened up, and they had to use these mystery boxes to create, I think, a three-course meal that would be sampled, tasted, and judged by a panel of judges. And whoever won that particular show would go on to the next or something. And it was always kind of a challenge. And I think actually there was one winner each show. And I don't know if they ever had like a big competition with those winners coming back. They may have, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so they took what they were given. Now they came from a background specialty area. They were like hierophants. So they had all structured the form. They knew what they were doing. And in the show, they're asked to use that to become magicians and create something amazing. And they did it. And these sample boxes were strange. You would seem like tripe came up a lot. You know, here you can use tripe and create something. And with that, there would be paired with weird, funky vegetables I'd never heard of, different types of meat, different flavorings. Sometimes, you know, a packet of Kool-Aid or a orange ice cream sickle type thing, and they made it work. They had no idea ahead of time what they were going to get, but they took what was thrown in front of them and they made it work. I bring that up because that's what our life is like. We came here from the other side to Earth to walk through life and have fun and to learn how to maneuver everything and use our skills and abilities that we came with. We didn't remember them because of the amnesia thing, but they are just naturally part of who we are. And we are going to display and put those out there without even realizing what we're doing. So we are born, the box of ingredients is opened, and at that moment we learn what family we're born into, what our culture is, our socioeconomic level, our language, our religion, our skin tone, all that is known. And based on that, we are then to move forward through life and incorporate that into our natural abilities and create something to make this work for ourselves, to create the life we want for ourselves. And that's the key words, create the life we want for ourselves. So the Hierophant and the Magician are not two separate cards when it comes to you. You are both. You have the Hierophant, but inside of that is a magician. A magician gets lost. Gets lost because we believe that we are our physical bodies, that this is it. Now, if you're a person that does not believe in reincarnation, then for you, this is it. And that makes it even scarier. And that's how I was raised to believe. Reincarnation didn't become a reality for me until I got older. And it's like, well, this makes more sense. I just never understood before. Why would God do this one time for a person? And that's all they get. And furthermore, if that's the case, what about the little babies that they're born and they don't live very long? What about them? And I would ask that question. Because in church, we're taught everyone is a sinner. You're born into sin. And if you don't repent, well, what about babies? They didn't do anything wrong. They couldn't talk. They didn't have the opportunity to repent. But we're told, no, God looks at that differently, you know. And I'm thinking, well, how do you know? And I don't believe in hell for one thing now, but I'm thinking, well, how do you know what God thinks? So those are the types of questions I would ask as a kid. I was extremely annoying. So organized structure and me, the little Aquarius with the big mouth, did not get along very well. I would ask those questions like, well, didn't God make demons too? So God specifically creates evil things to hurt other people. Why would God do that? Or, well, wasn't Lucifer an angel? Yes, but Lucifer did this or that. I'm like, well, if God is, omniscient, didn't God know that was going to happen? Did God make a mistake? God doesn't make mistakes. Well, then why did God create Lucifer? There has to be a reason. He was like the most loved angel, the most beautiful. So what was the point? God doesn't make mistakes. Yet he made mistakes when he makes me and I'm gay. So I'm a mistake, but Lucifer's not a mistake. That doesn't make sense. Those are the types of questions I loved asking because it did not resonate with me. And those are the questions they could not answer because they don't know. And also because it was a religion based on control. It's like, don't ask us don't question us. Just do what we tell you. And I'm thinking, no, I am not going to do that. So as I got older, I left the church and I had to leave church to find God. I don't think God even attended the services. Seriously, I don't. He has a better use of his time than that, even though we know God's everywhere. So it was always there. But still, that was my thought growing up. But we are not our physical body. And if I'm supposed to believe that, I'm going to burn and bubble forever in hell, then that means my physical body is going to hell. And that again doesn't make sense. How's that possible? You know? So we're both Hierophant and Magician. Inside of us is this powerful creator, but were we raised to understand that and to see ourselves from that context? No, we weren't. And society does not support that. Why would it? Society would lose money if they supported that. Because think about it. How much money do you spend specifically to improve, enhance, embellish the physical? Everything, all marketing and advertisement is based on that. Wear the right clothes, use the right cosmetics, work out, look good, do this, do that. We're concerned about the size of our bodies. Are we too fat? Are we too slim? Are we too tall? Are we too short? What do our clothes look like? What are other people going to think if we don't do a certain thing? We're always focused on the body. Meanwhile, what we're not focused on is what's inside the body, the poor, powerful light being that's trapped in this and trapped by the confines of our thoughts and mind. We're running the show here. We have free will, but inside of us is a being that is so powerful that it transcends all of that. And also, too, majority of what we do is based on our ego, of how we feel and think about ourselves. Now, the powerful light being inside doesn't care about that at all. It's of complete irrelevance because it has everything. So if I'm growing up and I'm raised to ask to pray to whoever and ask for these things to them to do this and that for me, I'm sure at that point, the divine, the other side's just looking at me, shaking their head saying, you still don't have it. You still don't understand here. You're asking us to do this for you? No, you have the power to do it for yourself. Why aren't you doing it? Are you being lazy, Michael? Well, yeah, Michael is being lazy because Michael doesn't even understand that I don't even have to do that. I have everything built in inside. I'm just not making the connection. I'm seeing the Hierophant, I'm seeing the Magician as two separate things, not realizing they are one. I am both. The Hierophant represents my mindset now, my limitations, all of the things that I say I have to stay within these little lines. No, I don't. Where the Hierophant says, this is what you must do, the Magician says, want to bet? Watch me do something different with it. I'll show you that. Hierophant or the magician pulls everything together. On the table on that card, you have all the tools they need. One hand's pointing up, one hand's pointing down. As above, so below. What's above? It's the spiritual, the divine, and that's where our higher conscious is all the time. Are we tapping into that to tap into the higher? No, we're not, because we often don't even know how to, for one thing, and we don't even know that that's a possibility. We can only achieve as high as our thoughts will allow us to go. If a person's raised in a very low socioeconomic situation with lots of limiting beliefs all around them, they aren't even raised to think it's possible. When they're young, they may ask for something, and what do they get back immediately? Money doesn't grow on trees. Who do you think you are? Rich people are evil. What will people think about you? And that's what shapes the mindset. And that is their Hierophant moment. It doesn't have to be in church. It has to be with the people that shape the structure, the rigidity, the organization, the institutions, all the stuff to which you belong. When you're born and that mystery box opens, you see what you have in front of you. What are you doing with those ingredients? Are you saying, well, no, it's because of what's in this mystery box. I can't possibly go any further in life. I'm limited to this right here. That's the Hierophant. You are not limited to anything. That's the magician. Create what you want. If our life is not what we want it to be, it's because we've not created it to what we want it to be. Do we even know what we're capable of? Do we know how great life could be? Or are our thoughts about the greatness of life limited to the thoughts of those that came before us, the opinions of those that offer and dispense it freely to us, whether we want it or not? Are we even fully aware of what the potential is? As humans, we're not. We can't think that high. The divine does. The universe has all of that in mind. So the many times we ask for something, this is what I want, and the universe is probably looking down. When I say universe, I'm interchanging all these words to however you want to call it: God, God the Father, the divine, spirit, source, goddess, whatever you want. I'm going to say universe and spirit and whatever, but I mean all the same thing. We're asking for these things, and the universe is looking down or listening to us and thinking, is that all you're capable of wanting? Really? That is so boring for us. Why would we possibly want to even waste our time? You have the power, do it yourself. That puts us at a really disadvantage because we don't know what we're capable of doing. It's one thing for me to come on Sunday and tell you my thoughts for a Sunday. That's great. Makes me feel good, right? My thoughts don't matter at all. And most of the time, most people don't stick around long enough and they don't even hear my thoughts on things. 3 minutes, they're out. I get it. It's fine. That's where they are. My thoughts don't matter. The most important thoughts that you need to be hearing on a Sunday, a Monday, Tuesday, any day of the week, any given time, the most important thoughts for you to pay attention to are your own thoughts. Your thoughts are what manifest your life. That's where your power lies. Words are one thing. People say words all the time, and there's no energy behind it whatsoever. The most common ones you'll hear is, oh, I'll say a prayer for you. No, they won't. Most people will never give it a second thought. It's just a nice thing that they say. They're not going to, there's a lot of people that are dead because of all the prayers they've not received from people that said, sending prayers, sending love, sending whatever. They're not sending shit. They really aren't. Few will, but most, it's just words. Words have no power. Thoughts do. When you align your thoughts with your words, when you in your mind, you think, what do I want to focus on today? And you have this desire within you that you want to create something. You want to see your life in a different way. You want a variety of things, and not just the materialistic. When we ask for materialistic things, that shows our spiritual state of condition. If I'm focused on the materialistic, I'm not spiritually minded, because the materialistic is based on fear and lack and the belief that if I have this, I'll be happy. It'll never make you happy because you have to be happy first. Fortunately, many of the things we ask for in that materialistic realm never come to pass because the other side realizes, no, you do not need this. The last thing you need right now is this, because then that's going to cause you to do whatever, whatever. And if we focus hard enough on it and put all the energy to it, we will manifest it for ourselves. But what do we manifest the most? The negative? We do. I may ask for someone to make me happy. I've done this many times. You ask for a relationship and you really, really want this because I want someone to make me happy. And an amazing person comes into my life. And I'm happy for a short time, but then problems start to show up. And it's the same problems I've had in relationships in the past. And I'm using relationship as one example. This plays out, though, in all facets of our life. This repeating pattern. And I learn in that it's like, wow, here we go again. You know, it's the same old thing as before. This is happening, that's happening. Why do I keep getting people like this? The real question I should be asking is, why do I keep manifesting this into my life? The reason why I'm manifesting it is because there's a lesson there that I am not seeing. I'm not learning it. And the universe will continue to give me that lesson over and over until finally I catch a clue and realize, oh, wait, my gosh, yes. And then you see it. And then mysteriously, that cycle pattern just disappears because it's no longer needed and you go on to something else. And that's how the universe works with us. But that's what we are manifesting into our life. We're manifesting for the wrong reason. We're manifesting something tangible or one thing thinking it's the answer to everything, and it's not. The answer is much deeper and it's within inside of ourselves. Almost everything we pull into our life is based on the physical and the emotional. I want this to make me feel whatever. Nothing can make you feel in any way, in any form. Only you can determine, decide for yourself how something's going to make you feel. And how it makes you feel is going to be based on the patterns of your past and that earlier upbringing and that trauma and that mindset of when this happens, it's because of that. And that becomes a pattern, and you always go with that. Many times it has nothing to do with that. That's just what you were conditioned to think. So we are the most amazing manifestors. We are. And the shittier your life is, the more powerful of a manifester you are. Truly. It's on you. You did it. This is unlike what former President Obama said in his one speech. The reverse of that is, you did build this. This is you. My life is my responsibility. I built that for myself. And we didn't even realize what we were doing. We meant well, our heart was in the right place, but our thoughts were someplace else. And that is the strongest energy we put out there. And that's what's being picked up. And that's what we're pulling right back in. So my thoughts for a Sunday don't mean squat. Your thoughts every day matter the most. Again, you're not your physical body. Inside of this is this powerful light being. Tap into that. The more you do that, you'll start to remember who you are. And that's what's most important here, remembering who you are. Every lesson that comes your way, especially the hard ones, what happens as a result of that? Two ways, normally, there's a variety, but two main things. Either you stall and you are frozen in time, forever a victim, a well-rehearsed victim, that you can tell everyone you meet, well, it's because of this, that I'm the way I am. Well, first of all, if you can describe it and explain it and define it for people, you can change it. If you're not changing it, that's on you. And that's laziness. Your life is never going to change until you put action and energy into it. Don't expect everyone to tiptoe around your triggers. That's your responsibility. To push that off on other people is very selfish. It is what it is. So that's one way. Something happens and you're frozen in time, forever a victim. Now, I'll say there's a lot of social currency around that one. People get a lot of energy from it, from the sympathy, but eventually that runs out and they have to find another card to pull. And they will do it if they don't want to make any changes. So option number one. Option number two, when something happens, is you say, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to move forward in spite of it. I'm going to deal with it and deal with the trauma and the feeling and the emotions and work all that out and work through it. But it's not about the situation you went through. It's how you choose to walk away from it. And it's the walk away. That's the important. Either there's a walk of shame or there's a walk of victory and success, moving away and becoming a stronger person of saying, in spite of what the mystery box gave me, I'm going to take that, I'm going to work it, and I'm going to create the best 3-course meal anyone's ever seen. And I'm going to dazzle the judges, but whether I dazzle them or not, I'm going to dazzle myself and know that I nailed this one. I did good on this. I've learned the lesson and I'm ready for the next round. Bring on the challenge. Bring on the next mystery box. We're going to do this. We have that power in our life. And that's the type of stuff I'm thinking about today, about looking at my own life of how I have been a victim to the Hierophant. I'm not a victim to the Hierophant. The church did its role. It taught me, it prepared me, and it did it with love to the best of its ability. How I chose to interpret it was on me. I labeled it the way I thought it was based on how I felt about what I was hearing. Now, being told you're going to hell is not really something you put on a Hallmark card, you know? So that's kind of a tough blow, but is it impossible? Absolutely not. The whole time that was happening, I knew this is wrong. This is not right. This isn't a loving God. This is a God created by man in man's image. You actually believe that God hates the same people you hate. Well, congratulations. God comes from the Westboro Baptist Church. What? Made no sense. So it's easy to walk away from that. So I'm not a victim to the Hierophant. The Hierophant is now in my head because I have to watch and monitor my thoughts because I am now being the Hierophant of my own life. I can be so close-minded, so ego-driven that I don't see the reality right in front of my face. And the reality is step outside that box and see yourself as the magician. You don't like what's inside the box, create a new, but don't even create a box at all. Just create a whole new world for yourself because you have the ability to do it. I don't have to ask the divine to do this or that for me. The divine's saying, you tell us. Command, you command me. What do you want to do? We will help and support you once you make a decision as to what you want to do. Free will, your life, your experience, your trip around the sun, however many times you're here. This is you. It's a field trip for you, Michael. How do you want to play this out? And we will help you every chance we can. But you have to tell us what you want, assign us roles, and we'll step in and do it. That instead of the reverse of what we do as humans, saying, I don't want to go to the gym and work out. Give me a pill to make me lose weight. I don't really want to put any thought and effort into this. Let me get a card reading and have them tell me what to do. We're lazy. We are very lazy. We don't want to put any effort into it. That's why people don't watch my readings. They're too long. And I'm told that your readings are too long. It's like, we don't have much time. It's like, if you don't have the time to spend in that, it's not for you anyway. So move on, go to your little meme or reel, whatever makes you happy and watch it and move on and do whatever you want to do with it. Your life, your choice. I totally get it. These readings have, I think, largely been for me. I'm just sharing my experience, what have I've been learning through this process. Hopefully something resonates. If it doesn't, that's okay. At least I appreciate you're here as a friend and supported to listen to me as I'm venting to you. It's like a therapy session almost sometimes it feels like. But we have control over that. And that's the bottom line of this long-winded message. Remember who you are and remember that you are not your body. Who you are is the light inside of this current body. It's the same you that you were in your last life and all the lives prior to that. It's always been you. You've always been around. You're not going to be destroyed. You're not going to be defeated because you're very powerful. There's nothing that can come against you that you don't allow to come against you. Your life is exactly how you want it to be, whether you realize it or not. And you're thinking, I don't want my life like this, then change it. It's your life. You have that power to do it. It doesn't matter what was in the mystery box. You have the skills and the knowledge, and you can tap into this infinite source of information if you choose to do so. And that will tell you how to use the ingredients in your mystery box and tie that into your innate abilities of what you were given when you were created and how to turn that into something beautiful for what you want it to be. Our lives are not about impressing others. Our lives are not about the ego. It's not about the number of followers that you have. And thank God, right? It's not about the number of followers you have. It's about what you do with the mystery box that you arrived with. That's what matters most. It's what you create. What's the final 3-course meal that you're going to make? That's what matters most. When you are doing that, you are living in alignment with your true purpose for this life, to use your built-in knowledge and abilities, what you came with, taking this thing called life and just working the hell out of it and making it something that is uniquely you. Your life is not going to reflect the lives of others around you. There's no comparison. You are not them. They are not you. You are here to be you, however that looks and whatever is authentic to you. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's something that I hope that you'll think about today on Sunday, June the 30th. Thank you so much for all your time with me these last 3 months. I've enjoyed it. And what comes next for me, I don't know. We'll see. I'll remain open. Anyway, have a beautiful day. And thank you for following me on the metaphysical journey. Bye.